My question for today is, what is the worst decision you've ever made in your life? And I talked about the best decision you've ever made, but now flip it around and think back, or recently, what is the worst decision you've ever made? Something that you really regret. It didn't turn out well, and even the decision-making process itself was really flawed. Like, you just shot from the hip and went for it. And think about all the factors that made it a bad decision-making process, or the things that went into influencing you, perhaps to be more emotional about it than you should. And I can think of a few for myself. I can think of a few with people that I know, where they took a job offer solely based on the name of the company and the compensation. Really overshadowed everything else. They didn't pay attention to all the red flags and the warning signals. They're like, man, that's great money, and it's a great name. And they took the job and regretted it almost immediately, but definitely within the first year, and kind of slapped themselves and said, I wasn't being rational. I wasn't being rational about that decision. I got lured by the big money. I fell for the big name, thinking that would look good on my resume. But everything else that I should have been taking into consideration in that decision, I avoided asking the questions, or I ignored the red flags. The manager was an idiot. Clear in the interview, they're going to be a pain to work for. People didn't seem happy. The job wasn't well defined. It looked like I was stepping into a chaos storm. And I've been in that situation. There's a few times I made a bad decision, a few times I made a good decision because of that, where even in the initial meeting interview, I was like, oh, this is a organization with huge conflict. You're all arguing with each other, thinly veiled threats in a meeting with me as an outsider. There is so much conflict. And later I found out the person who brought me in said, yeah, I want to use you as a weapon against that other leader so that we can fight the good fight. And I was like, man, I do not want to come into an organization where the deck is already stacked against me, where there's somebody that you have a political battle with that clearly in the meeting doesn't want me there. I'm not walking into a job like that. So think back on your decision making and the times that you've made a decision that was a really bad decision, and what led you down that path? What made you make that mistake? And how can that influence future decision making so you don't do that again? That's my thought for the day.